back to the United stand. Benjamin Sesko, there is a new twist in the saga, as there's been some reports late over in the UK, but here it's just about 7:45 in Chicago, and the late reports is that Benjamin Sesko is leaning towards going to Newcastle. It is coming out of Slovenia, which is Benjamin Sesko's home country, that it's looking like he's going towards Newcastle, and Newcastle have actually gone up in the odds to sign Benjamin Sesko now. I was speaking to Chris Wheeler before this show, got an interview with him coming out very soon on the United stand. It was great insight. He also seemed of the opinion that Manchester United are cooling off on Sesko, and Newcastle United are trying to do everything they can to make this deal happen. A lot of money is being talked about. I've got the reports to bring you. So while there's quite a few people sleeping over in the UK, let's cover this story now and let's get into it and get all your opinions in, all your comments in as well. Where do Manchester United go from here? Do they throw more money at it? Do they do that? Because I don't know if it's necessarily the fact that Benjamin Sesko is going, you know what, actually, even though I've preferred Manchester United all this time, I'm suddenly going to switch to Newcastle. I mean, they might have done work on the player's side. You're going to be the star man of the project. You are going to be our number one guy. We're going to give you big wages. They're going to get a lot of money in for Alexander Isak. But I think it's more the fact that Newcastle are going to pay Leipzig what they want. They are going to pay Leipzig a big fee, and Manchester United don't want to pay Leipzig a big fee. They don't want to do that, and they're probably going to want to pay quite a small instalment to get things going. So I think Benjamin Sesko's, maybe they're thinking, hang on a second, if I choose United, I might not get a move at all because United might not even agree with Leipzig. So maybe I just go for it, get to the Premier League and go and get my move to Newcastle, who are ready to go now. But let's bring in the reports. It's not only coming in from Slovenia, it's also coming in from Germany as well. There's a little bit coming from Germany that Newcastle are now leading the Sesko race. Get your opinions in, get your thoughts in. How much money should we pay for this? I am skeptical about overpaying for a player that, in my opinion, is a risk. I've said that multiple times in the United stand. Also, everybody, welcome back. I've not even given my opinion yet on the game on the United stand, so I want to do that as well. And I want to give my opinion on Sesko, because I don't think the last show I did, from the last rooftop show I did, I was talking about how I'd rather go for a midfielder than a striker at this moment in time, and I'd also prefer Watkins, so I want to get into that as well. But let me bring you the news. I had to translate it earlier. So, it is coming out from a journalist from a leading newspaper in Slovenia that Benjamin Sesko was chosen to join Newcastle over Manchester United this summer. He put this: now it's clear Benjamin Sesko is moving to England. After months of transfer sagas, the Slovenian football star has made a decision about where he will continue his career. Slovenian football star Benjamin Sesko has finally made a decision, and according to well-informed sources, he will continue his career with Newcastle United. This is how the transfer saga that dragged on for several months finally came to an end. After being linked with Arsenal for a long time, where they ultimately decided to sign Swedish striker Viktor Gyökeres instead of Sesko, and after Manchester United warmed up the 22-year-old a few days ago, the battle for our national team has finally now been won by the management of Newcastle United. Obviously, the wording maybe is a little bit off because I've translated it from Slovenian, but they are putting out there very confidently from a leading newspaper in Slovenia that he's chosen Newcastle. I mean, I don't trust anything until Ornstein says it, or Romano. I don't trust anything until that tier 1 category comes out and says exclusive. Benjamin Sesko has opted to sign Newcastle. I'm not fully believing it and buying into it, but we have seen things like this happen in the transfer window. We have seen a source that you wouldn't usually, look at and think, wow, yeah, you have got A-star information, come forward, and it ends up being true. Like, they've got some sort of link into the deal, they've got some sort of inside knowledge, and that story does develop, and they were the ones that started it off before the greater detail comes out with the Ornsteins, with the Romano. So it's definitely one to think about. It definitely is one to think about. And when you are a Slovenian footballer and you have, family in Slovenia, and you probably do have good connections to the press over there, and if they want to get a story out there, or if they're linking in with the Slovenian press, they could have got the inside scoop on it, potentially. But like I said, I would be a little bit dubious of this until the likes of an Ornstein does come out and kind of confirm it. But there's also other news coming in. I mean, there's some news there's some news that Jurgen Klopp has got involved and told Benjamin Sesko to go to Newcastle as well. So obviously Jurgen Klopp, very involved in the Bundesliga, and Benjamin Sesko is currently playing there. I mean, what's Jurgen Klopp doing getting involved? That's a report that's coming out as well. I mean, the reported fee that Newcastle are putting down on the table is £78 million for Benjamin Sesko. I mean, do you think that Manchester United should go and match that? We've overpaid for players for a long time. £78 million, in my opinion, is overpaying. I don't think Manchester United should overpay. I don't. I've been very clear on it. Me and Ryan were having a bit of banter earlier, actually, and I said, I'm worried if United do go and pay 70 million for Sesko. I think he's got potential. I think he's got the attributes. I think he's exciting. I think he'll probably do really well if he goes to Newcastle. I think he would have done well if he went to Arsenal. By the way, Victor Gyökeres. I'm watching Victor Gyökeres very, very closely. Very closely. Very closely. I'm hearing some good things about Victor Gyökeres, and by good things, I mean good things that United didn't sign him. I know it's only one game. It's only one game that he played for Arsenal against Spurs, but I'm hearing some murmurings about the fact that right now people are a little bit like, oh. All I'm going to say is I'm going to sip. Sorry, I need some water. All I'm going to say is I'll be watching Victor Gyökeres very closely. I'm just making notes right now. Let's see. He'll probably end up doing really well. It's his first game for Arsenal. He's been in Marbella for a long time, trying to force a move out of Sporting. So, maybe he's just a little bit, not up to speed, basically not up to pace, but it was interesting. But with Sesko, like I said, I do think it would be risky for Manchester United to go and pay that money and go and overpay for him. I really do. And I said, might be a bit risky for Manchester United to do that. I am worried about it. And Ryan said, well, if you don't want a player, it means that they probably will work out for United. And I thought, excuse me? I thought, giving me a bit of banter. He was like, well, Beth, your track record isn't great. And I was like, are you joking? Of course, there's been some howlers in there. We don't have to bring them up again. But he was like, well, if you don't have a good feeling about a player joining, then they might actually work out. And I thought, you know what? Watch it happen now. I want him to work out. I do, if we do go and get him. But I like what we've just saying there, the news that's coming in is it's looking like it's swaying more in Newcastle's favour. Got some more news to bring into the show as well, but I just want to get some comments in from you guys. So we've nearly got 4,000 people watching us. Wherever you are in the world, get it in the chat. Let us know where you are. Let us know what time zone you're in. Really interested to see where people are tuning in from all over the world. We are in Chicago currently, as you guys know. We fly to Atlanta in the morning for the final game of the pre-season tour against Everton. It's been a super successful pre-season tour so far. I'll go into more detail about little things I've picked up on towards the back end of the show, but there's some really interesting insights that we can take away from that, and I'm excited. I'm really, really excited about where Manchester United are heading under Ruben Amorim and the feeling I'm getting from being here. I don't want to get too carried away, but I'm really getting excited for this season. I really am. Red Ninja says, Jacobs, Romano, Ornstein, none have confirmed. They've not yet, but none of them have also said the story isn't true. So we'll just have to wait. We'll just have to wait and see. We'll just have to wait and see. Like I said, I won't take it as gospel until the elite tier of journalists does kind of come out and confirm it or shut it down. But it is news that we're bringing into a show, and it has got some sort of connection to Benjamin Sesko, considering it is a leading Slovenian outlet. Andres Gomez says, I'm devastated. Absolute nonsense, no bomber, no truth, says N. And Ray Crowley says, United might as well bend over and say, who next? We are getting effed on every striker we try and sign if this is true. Well, you're stuck really between a rock and a hard place, aren't you? Because you're looking at the transfer window, United have gone from Delap to Gyökeres, Ekitike, Watkins was involved. I mean, Mitrovic was touted at one point, and now we're at Sesko. You don't exactly know which order in particular the preference was, but United in the striker market, they're not having a good time of it. Like, that is the signing that we really have sort of, in my opinion, messed up a little bit this summer. And I think United, looking at it from the outside looking in, I think even internally, I don't think they'd admit it, but they'd think, if we were going to go in with a striker, into the striker market again, we'd maybe approach it a little bit differently. And Mbeumo and Cunha, absolutely fantastic signings, but we've looked a little bit silly in terms of the striker because we've jumped from so many different people, and that initial Delap going to Chelsea really did skew the market for us and really did skew our chances of signing our first options. And it's kind of gone downhill from there. Benjamin Sesko is exciting. He was Arsenal's first choice for a long time. He was Arteta's first choice for sure. They didn't manage to get the deal done with Leipzig. He is young, he's got attributes, he is exciting. I do think he would suit the Premier League. Ollie Watkins, in my opinion, is super exciting. Would Manchester United pivot to Ollie Watkins now if they can't get Benjamin Sesko? Or do they just say, look, we'll go into the season with Højlund and Xerxes and spend the money elsewhere? We'll have to wait and see as the news comes out. But I do think you are right in the sense of you're stuck in a situation, do we look silly again where somebody else gets our striker target? I mean, we've had it with multiple. Like Delap's gone to Chelsea, Gyökeres he's gone to Arsenal, Ekitike's gone to Liverpool. Do we have that happen to us again? Or do we do what we've done previously, which is overpay? Because if 78 million is true, that is overpaying. Do we overpay to match Newcastle and get this deal done? Or do we let Newcastle overpay? Because I think they are overpaying. I personally would rather Manchester United not overpay on this deal. I don't think Sesko currently is worth £78 million, and I wouldn't do it. It screams to me the same mistakes we've made in the past. And I am a little bit burnt from going for young, expensive signings from Europe that haven't worked out. I'm burnt from that. Sesko probably will now. But I'm a little bit burnt from that, and I'd rather do a more low-risk signing and maybe, either get a stopgap striker in, and I know we've been down that road before, or potentially give Højlund a chance with now Mbeumo and Cunha in behind him and hope to God that Xerxes kicks on from what we saw last season before he got his hamstring injury where he looked really good. Bruno can, play higher up the pitch, so can Cunha, so can Mbeumo. Do United do that? But there is more news coming out that I want to bring in. Let me get it up here. This also came out from Germany. Newcastle have overtaken Manchester United in the race for Benjamin Sesko. They've increased their contract offer and received the green lights for a 78 million move from RB Leipzig. And that was coming in from Sasha from Germany there. 78 million again. And, I was looking at this as well. I've seen a few people say, well, Vivell has that connection that might help us in terms of RB Leipzig. Amorim had a connection to Victor Gyökeres. Wilcox had a connection to Delap, and it didn't help us in both of them two cases where we were really interested in them strikers. So I don't know how strong Christopher Vivell's relationship is with RB Leipzig. Apparently it is very strong. Would he be able to kind of get involved and say, look, we've had this relationship, this is the price we want to pay, this is the instalments, the player does want to come to us, but he doesn't know if we're going to be able to agree a deal. Would he be able to get involved that way? Potentially. But right now, it's looking a little bit like when we thought Newcastle were down and out, when everyone was bantering them, saying like how many rejections can they possibly get in one summer. Now it looks like they might be kind of throwing everything at this to avoid that happening again. So thoughts, would you match the 78 million? Get your comments in. How high would you go? What is the max price that you would pay for Sesko? I know a lot of you guys are really, really excited about this player. I can't get myself excited about him yet because I've been burnt from past deals. I'll absolutely back him if he comes in. But it's good to see everyone else excited about him. How far would you go with this, and how gutted would you be if Newcastle did get that deal done? If you saw Newcastle, here we go, Benjamin Sesko, a deal worth up to £78 million, would you be gutted that it wasn't Manchester United doing that deal, or would you say, you know what, we just couldn't match that price, and I think Manchester United did the right thing to not pay the money? Let me know. Also got something else coming in, being sent to me here now. On location, you've got to look at your phone, you've got to switch between different tabs, you've got a microphone in one hand, you've got, all your comments in the other, you're trying to have a sip of water. It's you've got to be a good multitasker. Fabrizio Romano has just put this out now about 10 minutes ago. Manchester United are seriously considering to add one more midfielder to the squad in case of a good opportunity. Understand internal talks are also focused on a new midfield signing, not only a striker and a goalkeeper. Music to my ears, we need a midfielder. Thank you. Thank you so much. My prayers are paying off. I really do hope that there's truth to this and Manchester United do push on and try and sign a midfielder. And we drop out of that Sesko race because Newcastle can pay more money than us and beat us to it, and they overpay, Man United might just decide to pivot away from a big spend on the striker and put that into a midfield signing, and I would welcome that with open arms. I think it's one of the most important positions that Manchester United have to strengthen in. Casemiro, as much as he does look like he has got in some great shape, he just doesn't look like he's up to the pace of the Premier League. Bruno Fernandes, in my opinion, is better further forward. I know he can play that role, but I think his best position is closer to goal, further forward, being that creative. Kobbie Mainoo, very good player, very, very good player, but he's not an out-and-out CDM. He's not an out-and-out defensive midfielder. He's also good higher up the pitch, as well as, you know, sitting in that pivot. Ugarte is a destroyer. He gets around the pitch really well. He's looked super sharp in pre-season, but you need somebody else. You need someone else. There's not a single midfielder in Manchester United where I'm like, you are an absolute nailed-on starter for that pivot. And that's why I think Manchester United have to go and get a midfield signing. My favourite pivot is Ugarte and Mainoo, but I'm not sure if it's Amorim's favourite. And if one of them gets injured, then, you know, you're in a little bit of trouble, I think, when you're looking at the games, you know, we're playing in the Premier League where you need energy, you need legs. And Casemiro, if it was European teams, you could use him, but I just don't know if he'll be able to do it again for another season in the Premier League. I don't know. So I would love to pivot to a midfielder. I've said it a million times, Baleba would be my number one choice. A lot of you guys have shut me down and said, no, Beth, he's going to be too expensive. Brighton want 120 million. Okay, yeah, well, let's look at other options. Who else can we get in? Who's on the market? Who should we go for? I think Spurs are doing a really good deal getting João Palhinha in, to be honest with you. I think it's a low move, isn't it? I know Manchester United looked at it earlier in the window. Maybe because of his age, they thought, we'll pivot away from that one, but I think that's a really good deal for Spurs, and I think that's a deal that Manchester United probably should have looked at exploring further. João Palhinha, Portuguese, has that connection with Amorim through that, and, you know, he's done it in the Premier League before. He's been very, very good in the Premier League. I think that's something Manchester United should have looked at, and I think Spurs are getting a great deal there. Let's bring a few more of your guys' comments in before we start to talk a little bit about the pre-season and the fact that I'm getting pretty far ahead of myself right now, and I might need some of you to bring me back down to earth. It's so, like, I don't know, the air feels very, like, I don't know, you know when it's like, you know when you feel overstimulated, like when you've got like a hair on your face or something and you're like trying to get it out of the way? The air feels a bit like that. I did actually see something on the news yesterday that apparently Chicago over the last few days has the most polluted air in the world right now, apparently, so it might be that. Ray Cowley says, can't go for Watkins now, looks weak and desperate, and Villa will want top dollar now after chasing Sesko. We are done if no Sesko. I think that's a really good point as well. Liam says, who is Sasha? He's a reporter out of Germany. David Gurley says, watching from Indianapolis, Indiana, USA. I'm still hopeful we'll sign Benjamin. It's good to have that hope. It's good to have that hope. And Sashi Murphy says, Jurgen Klopp ducking us over again. Hope to God we get Watkins. And T-Bone Steak, thank you for the super chat. And Greg Hartley says, hi team. Gregory, Mr. Greg, one of the best producers in all of the land. Congratulations on 2 years at the United Stand. I've seen your post before. Happy Friday night. Thank you for tuning in and watching. We miss you out here. We've been away from you for quite a while. And I still remember that first show when you messed it up. Sorry to put it on blast, sorry to put it on live. But think about how far you've come from then. You've been absolutely fantastic. And, you know, sometimes members behind the scenes at United Stand don't get enough credit. They are the reason we can do what we do. Ryan here, producing the show behind me. And Greg holding the fort at the studio. You obviously have Matt as well, who basically does everything. You know, you have a lot of people behind the scenes that sometimes don't always get the recognition, but I wanted to say, Greg, happy 2 years at the United Stand, and hopefully many, many more years of working together. It is a pleasure to work with you. We've got Billy Welch says, so are you replacing Mbeumo and Cunha with our captain? I agree, he can't handle playing in the midfield. That is a question for a show, and I'm delighted to tell you that we will be bringing a look ahead for the season fans forum to the United stand. Going to have Ricky on it, going to get, Kev on it, Maud hopefully, and have a real look ahead to the season. And that is a question we will bring up. Where's Bruno going to play? Is Mbeumo going to play up front? Is Cunha going to play up front? Is Bruno going to play in the midfield? It's a big question. Where's Kobbie Mainoo's role? And we're going to be talking predictions, all that sort of stuff. So we'll definitely cover that. And I think it's good to have a balanced viewpoint on that with a couple of people that think Bruno has to be in the team, and I'm one of them. I think Maud's is as well. And then Ricky's really no, he shouldn't be, as you all know. And Kev's, I think, a little bit on the fence around. I think he rates Bruno highly, but maybe doesn't see where he'd fit right now. So it'd be good to get everyone's opinion on that one. Jason Hanna says we should have got Richard Rios for 30 million. I think that would have been a brilliant signing. I think, Jason, you're absolutely right. Thing is, with United, I think they struggle to do more than one deal at a time. So it was Cunha, for ages it was Mbeumo. Now it's a striker chase. When we're doing Mbeumo, it's like we can't do Richard Rios as well. And we're not even really looking at midfielders now as we're chasing a striker. When the striker's done, or if we move away from Sesko and decide to not go for one, then we'll enter the midfielder race. And it's but there was options that were very good options for United that we've missed out on, because now we're only just getting into the midfielder race. Whereas if you would have just done two deals at the same time, we could have got that target. And there's not as maybe much out there towards the later end of the window. Liam Sergensen says, have you seen Charles tonight? What does that mean? Have you seen Charles tonight? I'm not sure what you mean there. And Dennis G2000 says, what about Hayden Hackney for centre mid? I've seen a lot of rumours about Hayden Hackney. Obviously, I don't know much about him because I'm not an avid watcher of the Championship. But I've heard a lot of good things, but I'm not sure if it's just maybe a fan thing that keeps getting pushed out there, because a lot of people do like him. I definitely think he'd been scouted by United. Absolutely, probably on the list of players United have scouted, but we'll have to see if more comes out about Hayden Hackney. I want to bring in the Klopp thing, because this is really interesting. So there's also reports coming out of Germany that Benjamin Sesko is going to decline moving to Manchester United and has decided to join Newcastle under the advice of Jurgen Klopp. If that has any sort of truth to it, then Benjamin Sesko shouldn't be letting Klopp get in his ear. It's like when Louis van Gaal started getting involved and saying, if you go to, when he was managing the Netherlands, when he was saying, well, if you move to United, you probably got no chance of getting in the Dutch national team. And I think he advised Timber to not join us, didn't he, Louis van Gaal? It gives similar vibes to that. And you know what I would say to this? Keep your nose out of it. Keep your nose out where it's not wanted. But again, Klopp can give his advice, but ultimately, Sesko follows United on Instagram. We've been scouting him for 3 years. He's had many talks with the club. He knows what the club's about. Apparently, he'd want to join us. So I'm uncertain whether Klopp would be able to get in his ear and sway that decision. And I'd love to know what. And this is no disrespect to Newcastle, because you've got Champions League football and you're way better than us currently. Maybe not next season, but currently you're way better than us. But what is the pull to Newcastle over United if United can get back to that level of competing? United are a bigger club, and you will have a more iconic career if United are successful. If he did go to Newcastle for Champions League football, I'd understand it. You'd got to respect them as a club, but I'm just not too sure about the Klopp rumours, to be honest with you. But anyway, we have Ray Cowley saying, forget Sesko for a minute. If we sign a keeper, Onana will leave. Are you on board with that, considering that you wanted him? Ray had a good chat with Chris Wheeler before, a brilliant journalist. I won't go too much into detail because I want you to watch the show, but we spoke about United and potentially parting ways with Onana. Some of you will be quite happy, I think, with some of the information coming out of that interview, so wait for that. But would I be happy if Onana left? I don't want to go over old stuff that I've talked about multiple times before, but I've said it on the show for a very long time now. Onana can't be United's number one keeper. He can't be United's number one keeper, and I do think if there was an opportunity to move him on, Manchester United should take it. I think that. It's nothing personal, absolutely nothing against him, but he's had 2 seasons now and he's not been able to show that he can be a consistently good keeper for United, and he scares me in net. Talk about desperately needing a striker. What's the point of getting a striker who can score you 20 goals a season if your keeper's going to let 40 in? We need a good keeper, and I just don't think Onana's up to it. So to answer your question, I would be on board with selling him. I would be on board with selling him if Manchester United could do it. So stay tuned for that Chris Wheeler interview, because there's some good inside scoop there on Andre Onana and the keeper situation as well. Let me get some of the live comments in too. TT says, blowing up our wage bill and overpaying will affect the chemistry and harmony of the current squad for an unproven talent. Here's a question that I want to ask you guys. If Sesko comes in, United will try and move Rasmus Højlund on. Whether they're successful in that, let's wait and see. Do you think it's a little bit unfair on Rasmus Højlund that he came into the club maybe not expecting to be number one choice? Martial was injured the whole year. Showed promise, but wasn't amazing. I think he got 15 goals, was it, or 16 goals that season. Team was pretty poor. Second season he came in, and we got 15th spot. He was really poor. I think he scored 4 league goals across the whole season. He was really poor, and there was no excuse for that. He was really poor. Took the number 9 shirt, didn't fulfill it, but the service wasn't great, and he's playing with a 15th place team really, and he was part of that for sure, but he didn't really have proper good players in behind him feeding him chances. And now all of a sudden, when United actually in pre-season look super sharp, super top, look good, and you've got Mbeumo and Cunha, and he's still not had a chance to play with both of them, that could be kind of... He might not ever have a chance to play with both of them behind him, and at least be given the opportunity to prove himself with good creatives in behind him in the team. Do you think that's unfair on him, or do you think that's just the way the cookie crumbles and he should have been better in his first 2 years, and you've got to earn the opportunity to have better players with you? Because I'm not saying it is unfair. I wanted to ask your opinion, because for me it's like, if I'm Rasmus Højlund and I'm seeing Sesko about to come in and I'm going to get moved on and I've not even had a chance to prove myself with Mbeumo and Cunha yet, I'd be like, I know I wasn't good enough. Last year was a disaster, but I got dealt such a bad hand. I got little chances. The team was selfish. We didn't have a style of play like we're going to have now. Amrim's just got everything together. Mbeumo and Cunha, 2 of the best players from the Premier League, attacking players from the Premier last year, I'm about to play with, and all of a sudden I'm off and I've not got that chance. Do you think, does he deserve at least a chance? Let us know. Or did he have to be honest, if he was based off the first season where he showed glimpses, I'd be like, yeah, he deserves a chance. You're writing him off too soon. But last season was so poor, it's really hard to defend that, and you can understand why Manchester United are looking at bringing a striker in to replace him based off that season. We have, sorry, I'm just reading through the chats. Hardwell says, Sesko who? Hi Beth, you are so beautiful. Thank you very much, appreciate that. We also have in Keel Robinson saying it was obvious, and we have Sean Tran says, 1 game and people are switching up, he isn't good enough. I'm pretty sure you're talking about that good header he did in the last game in pre-season. I agree, I'm not getting carried away. That was a great goal, it was a great cross from Dorgu, and I think that's exactly what Højlund should be doing. Nodding them in, getting himself in a good position in the box. He made a good run, it was a good finish, striker's instincts, but we've not seen enough of that. And the fact that everyone was absolutely hyping up that goal shows how little they come for him. However, I do think Højlund has looked pretty sharp in pre-season. Is it too little too late though? Jason Hanna says, Beth, it's not just about his service, his movement isn't good enough, his hold-up play is poor, and he's very weak as well. He did say that he's been working on a lot more things in the pre-season, now he's had time, and it's not like 2 games a week with the coaches. But again, do you take that risk? Because we could be sat here this time next year saying we should have just sold him because we knew he wasn't good enough from that season. It's just a question I put out there. But I do want to finish on this. We have had the privilege of being out here in this beautiful city of Chicago. We've been to New Jersey. We are going to Atlanta tomorrow. We've been in mix zones. We've been sat in press conferences. We've been watching some parts of open training. You speak to people in the press boxes. You speak to people with insight into the club. I have done this before. I did it last year, and I've also, done it on these European trips. And if I was at home, I would want to know my insight from what I've seen as well. Like, obviously there's people with far greater insight than me, but I wanted to give it to you. And I'm not just saying this because I want to spin a positive. I'm not just saying this because I'm trying to get myself excited for the season. I'm saying it because I mean it. There is an absolute shift and difference within this squad compared to recent times. And people might say, oh, it's because it's pre-season, there's no pressure. I was on last season pre-season. There is an absolute shift. The players look a lot happier. The players look like they're all interacting together all of the time. When they walk through mix zones, a lot more approachable, talking to people, just look happy. It looks like a family. It feels like a family feel. And I remember that time when a Sporting fan wrote a big essay, and I think they put it on Twitter, and they said, I don't know what he does in pre-season, but he transforms it. The team becomes a family. The bond becomes unbreakable. You've had Aidan Heaven talking about that today. You've had Luke Shaw talking about it. You've had multiple players coming out and speaking about it. And you hear stuff about the fact that the training sessions are so detailed that the players are literally walking through each step on the pitch of exactly what to do. That's what Amram's doing. The cameras at Manchester United, the actual club cameras aren't even allowed in because it's so meticulous. The players look way fitter. When you're walking through Lean FC, but they look fitter, they look stronger. The vibe does seem different. I think part of that is because of Amram and the work that he's done behind the scenes, and he's obviously put them all on a huge fitness plan, and I think that's working out brilliantly. Diogo Dalot said to us in an interview that Amram's message is to be the most intense team in the world, and that is showing that he is doing that. I mean, the fact that Cunha has fatigue, the fact that Mbeumo, who by the way covered the third most distance in the whole Premier League last season, hasn't actually got into the squad yet because he's building up to fitness, and Cunha's got fatigue and Cunha's massively fit as well. The fact that them two are in that position shows how far back this fitness plan's probably going from Amram. Even on their holidays, I think he probably gave them all specific personalised fitness plans and probably said to them, follow this, come back in this shape or don't bother, because we are in for a serious season and I want you to be part of it. The players he wants to be part of it. You do your bit and you put in the work, come to pre-season prepared, and you've got a very good chance of being part of a really good team next year. That's how I envisioned Amram doing it. So that's exciting. And then I also do think, not all of them, but some of the players that were in the bomb squad, the 5 bomb squad, them departing does free the team of negativity, of ego, of players maybe thinking that they're bigger than other players, or I don't know, but you know what I mean. I think everyone's on the same level now. Everyone's humble. Everybody, wants to interact. Everybody's working towards the same goal. I mean, Luke Shaw even said it himself. Whether, I know a lot of people have opinions on Luke Shaw because of his injury record and the England thing, but he even said, there's no more stragglers now. Amram has, got rid of the players that weren't contributing positively towards the end goal, which is competing at the top level for this football club. I mean, Luke Shaw even mentioned the Premier League eventually. So that's the exciting side of things. And when I think about it, and I think about the fact that Newcastle have Champions League football, the fact that Villa have European football, and despite the fact United definitely have to make more signings, I think we have to sign a midfielder. A striker would be good too, and a goalkeeper would be nice. I don't think we'll get all 3. I think we'll probably get 2. And still, you're in a situation where, is that enough? Do we need another win back? But I'm really, really, really impressed so far in pre-season, and I do think with 1 game a week, it'll give Manchester United a really, really good chance next season of at least competing for Europe, which would be a huge step up. So I'm excited for the season. I hope you guys are as well. And the last thing I was going to say then, I had it on the tip there of my mind, what I was going to bring in. It was about the season. Oh yeah. What I will say is when Erik ten Hag first came in, we had that pre-season in Bangkok and then Australia. We beat Liverpool 4-0. We won that trophy, I think, and I think we had a really great pre-season and everyone was getting excited. And then opening day of the season, Brighton had us, and then Brentford as well had us. So, things can look good in pre-season and it doesn't translate into the Premier League. But the good thing about this summer series over in America is we're playing Premier League teams, and I think United, it's been a long time, it's been a very long time since I've seen Manchester United outwork and outrun an opposition side that is from the Premier League. Like, every week it felt like last season United were getting outworked, outrun. We start the season off, we don't look fit, we don't look like we've got any intensity. Bournemouth are a good Premier League side. You know, West Ham have got some good players, and I think against West Ham and Bournemouth, United look miles ahead. I thought they looked fitter, I thought they looked stronger, I thought they looked more intense, the pressing was better. The fitness side of it is exciting. Okay, the technical ability has to follow, but I think we have always had some good players in our squad, and with the addition of Cunha and Mbeumo, does get me a little bit excited for the season, guys, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Like I said, pre-season, don't get carried away. Also got Stephen Williams, welcome to the United Stand Members Club. Why are people saying, here we go, Sesko? Are you having me on? Yeah, it's not been here we go, Sesko. Don't do that. Don't do that to me in the chat. A lot of people are saying that if we don't get Sesko, they'd go to Ollie Watkins, and or would they even kind of pivot? I think Manchester United would probably maybe call it a day, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get in a stopgap. I mean, Mitrovic been mentioned before, and then attack the striker position with real intent at the start of next season potentially. We'll see. I think that's why they're keeping Rasmus Højlund pretty sweet as well right now. Ruben Amorim backing Rasmus Højlund in public, and Rasmus Højlund saying he's not been spoken to about being moved on, because they want to ensure they can actually sign a striker before they make their preferences about Rasmus Højlund clear. And I think if Man United did have the opportunity to move Rasmus Højlund on, and they knew they were bringing in a new striker, they would move for that. But at this moment in time, we don't even know if we're going to get a new striker in the door, and I think it's a real possibility that we don't, as I've said. Last but not least, I really do. Someone said Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I'd rather get no one. Play Mbeumo up front. Honestly, that'd be a no from me.
Someone said
Beto from Everton. I don't think David Moyes would want to sell him. I know that they've brought in somebody else, but I think Beto is David Moyes' guy. I don't think they'd sell him. Is it bad that I take him at this point? Honestly. I'm surprised we didn't go in for Mateta. I really am. That one still shocks me. Mateta, he's there. I know Crystal Palace are going to try and get him signed up to a new contract, but he'd be a great one. I'm surprised we've not even at least started conversations with that one. I mean, name a striker and United might pivot towards him. We've gone through a big list so far. But last and not least, I want to give a big shout out to Bar Avec. An absolutely brilliant rooftop here. We've changed up our rooftop locations a few times. Eagle-eyed viewers would be able to see that. But Bar Avec has provided a beautiful backdrop, and I just absolutely love how it starts off, you know, with a little bit of a sunset, and then now it's evening time over here. Me and Ryan are about to head and get some food because we are hungry, and then pack to go to Atlanta tomorrow. What food should I get? Let me know in the comments. We've tried some great food out here in Chicago, we really have. But look everyone, thank you so much for watching. Smash a like on the video if you haven't already. I'm very sorry about my voice breaks a couple of times. My voice is going. I've been talking too much, I'm shouting too much over here. My voice is going. I was doing a bit of singing last night, and that might have contributed to it. But yeah, we got there in the end, brought you the news about Sesko, and had a good little chat about our hopes for next season. And are you excited like I am? Smash a like on the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.